A frozen Chicago plaza. The crack of a rifle shot splitting winter air. A woman in a gray sweater, no armor, no weapon, no reason to be there, throwing herself between a Mafia king and a bullet meant to end his reign. Martino Milani watches crimson bloom across pale fabric as the stranger collapses at his feet, her body absorbing the death intended for him. In 20 years of commanding Chicago's underworld, he has never owed anyone anything. But now, standing over blood-soaked snow with this dying woman's fingerprints burned into his memory, he feels something alien crawling through his chest: debt. He barks orders to his men: find her, track her, bring her to him. Every resource, every contact, every shadow in his empire mobilized to hunt down the ghost who saved his life. What Martino doesn't know, what he can't know as he begins his obsessive search, is that he's not hunting a savior. He's hunting the teenager who signed his death warrant a decade ago. The same girl who has spent 10 years trying to undo what she was forced to become. It takes Martino 3 days to find her. 3 days of burning through contacts, bribing hospital clerks, and tracking every underground clinic in Chicago's rotting underbelly. His men report back with nothing: no Jane Doe admitted, no gunshot wounds treated, no bodies matching her description in the morgue. She's vanished like smoke, like she was never real at all. But Martino knows she's real. He still sees the gray fabric darkening with her blood, still feels the weight of her body when his guards pulled him away from the plaza. She saved his life, and ghosts don't bleed. He finds her in a clinic that shouldn't exist, a converted basement beneath a shuttered pharmacy, where the fluorescent lights flicker like dying stars and the stench of antiseptic barely masks the rot underneath. The doctor is a nervous man with shaking hands who takes one look at Martino's face and steps aside without a word. She's in the back room, sitting on a metal examination table with her legs dangling like a child's. Her gray sweater is gone, replaced by a thin hospital gown that hangs off her frame. The bandage on her arm is professionally wrapped, but her eyes, hollow, dark, watching the door like prey waiting for the predator, tell Martino everything he needs to know. She ran because she's been running her whole life. You're a difficult woman to find, Martino says, stepping into the cramped space. His guards fill the doorway behind him, blocking the only exit. Michelle doesn't flinch. You shouldn't have looked. You took a bullet for me. He moves closer, studying her face, the exhaustion carved into her features, the way her fingers grip the edge of the table like she's calculating distances, angles, escape routes. That creates a debt. I don't want anything from you. That's not how this works. Martino gestures to his men. You saved my life. Now I'm responsible for yours. She finally looks at him then, really looks at him, and something flickers behind those hollow eyes: fear, maybe, or recognition. I'm nobody. You can't be responsible for nobody. Martino reaches out, surprisingly gentle as he touches the bandage on her arm. She tenses but doesn't pull away. You bled on my snow, he says quietly. You have a name, a face, a body that nearly died for mine. You are not nobody. He steps back, nodding to his guards. Bring the car around. She's coming home with us. I can't. You are no longer nobody, Michelle. He watches her freeze at the sound of her name, watches the color drain from her already pale face. And nobody hunts what belongs to Martino Milani. He turns toward the door, knowing she'll follow. She has nowhere else to go. Michelle recovers in the East Wing, in a room with silk curtains and a lock that only opens from the inside. Martino watches her through security feeds, noting things his men miss. She never sleeps facing the door. Always the window, even though they're 3 floors up. She maps the hallways on her second day. He sees her counting steps, memorizing turns, identifying exits. By day 4, she's spotted every camera in the mansion. She doesn't look directly at them, but her eyes flick toward each one with the precision of someone trained to see surveillance. On day 6, Martino finds her in the kitchen at 3 a.m. She's standing in the dark, motionless, positioned exactly where his security cameras have a blind spot. Can't sleep? He asks from the doorway. She doesn't startle. Doesn't even turn. Your patrol rotation changes every 43 minutes. Your guard signal position checks with 2 clicks on their radios. You have 3 weak points in your perimeter: the south garden gate, the service entrance, and the ventilation shaft on the roof. Martino goes very still. How do you know that? Because if I wanted to kill you, that's how I'd do it. She finally turns, and in the darkness, her hollow eyes reflect the moonlight like a predator's. But I don't. I already told you, I saved you. Nobody knows my security protocols except my inner circle. He steps closer, watching her track his movement. You're not a nurse. You're not a student. Who trained you? Michelle's jaw tightens. Someone who doesn't exist anymore. Try again. I can leave if you want. Debt paid. She moves toward the door, but Martino blocks her path. You took a bullet for me, he says quietly. But you move like someone who's taken bullets before. You think like someone who plans assassinations, not prevents them. He leans in, close enough to see the pulse jumping in her throat. How does a nobody know how to survive a professional hit? For a long moment, she just stares at him. Then she whispers, the same way a ghost learns to haunt the living. She slips past him before he can respond, disappearing into the dark hallways like she was never there at all. Martino stands alone in the kitchen, a cold certainty settling in his gut. He pulls out his phone and calls his tech chief. Run her prints. Every database. International, criminal, classified, I don't care what doors you have to kick down. I want to know who Michelle Brown really is. On it, boss. Anything specific I should know? Martino looks toward the empty hallway, remembering the way she counted his camera blind spots, the way she mapped his security like she'd done it 100 times before. Yeah, he says. I think I just invited a ghost into my house. And ghosts only come back for one reason. What's that? Unfinished business. The call comes at dawn. Martino is in his study, 3 cups of coffee deep and no closer to understanding the woman sleeping down the hall, when his phone vibrates. His tech chief's name flashes on the screen. Tell me you found something, Martino says without preamble. Silence. Then, boss, you need to see this in person. 20 minutes later, Martino stands in his secure server room, staring at a screen that makes no sense. His tech chief, a former NSA analyst named Victor, looks like he hasn't slept in days. I ran her prints through every database we have access to, Victor says, his voice tight. FBI, Interpol, DMV records, hospital records, even the military personnel database. He clicks through screens, each one showing the same result. Michelle Brown appears in the system exactly once. A birth certificate from Chicago, dated 26 years ago. After that, nothing. Nothing? No school records. No medical history. No social media footprint. No credit cards, no tax returns, no traffic tickets. Victor pulls up another screen. But here's where it gets weird. 10 years ago, there's a death certificate. Michelle Brown, age 16, died in a house fire along with her mother. Martino's blood goes cold. Show me. The document fills the screen, official, stamped, filed with the Cook County Coroner's Office. Cause of death, smoke inhalation. Body identified through dental records. There's no mistake? Martino asks. I ran it 4 times. According to every official record in existence, Michelle Brown has been dead for a decade. Victor turns to face him. The woman in your guest room is a phantom, boss. She shouldn't exist. Martino thinks about the way she moves through his mansion, silent as smoke. The way she knows things she shouldn't know. The way she appeared out of nowhere to take a bullet meant for him. Pull everything you can find from before her death, he orders. School records, neighbors, anything. If she was real once, there's got to be a trail. Victor nods, already typing. Boss, there's one more thing. When I flagged her prints in the classified databases, I got an automatic response. From who? I don't know. The system just generated a red file designation. Victor's hands shake slightly as he pulls up the final screen. Red files are reserved for people who are either in witness protection, undercover intelligence assets, or what? Or designated as hostile threats to national security. Victor meets his eyes. The fact that her prints triggered the protocol means someone very powerful has been watching for her. And now that I've run the search, they know exactly where she is. Martino's mind races. A dead girl who knows his security. A ghost who bled to save him. A red file that just lit up like a flare, broadcasting her location to whoever's been hunting her. He turns and strides toward the door. Where are you going? Victor calls after him. To get answers. Martino's voice is cold steel. Because I just realized I didn't save a stranger. I invited a phantom into my home. And phantoms, he's learning, always come with ghosts of their own. If you're as hooked as Martino is trapped, hit that like button. Subscribe so you don't miss what happens when the ghosts catch up. And drop a comment, do you think Michelle is the hunter or the hunted? Because something tells me the truth is far more dangerous than either. The attack comes 3 days later, at 2:47 a.m., during the gap in patrol rotation that Michelle had identified. Martino wakes to the sound of silence, the kind of silence that screams wrong to men who've survived as long as he has. No radio chatter. No footsteps. The surveillance monitors in his bedroom show empty hallways where guards should be. He's reaching for his gun when the window explodes. Not with bullets. With a compressed air canister that floods the room with white gas. Martino rolls off the bed, holding his breath, and makes it to the panic room door before the dizziness hits. Through the haze, he sees them, figures in tactical gear, moving with military precision, gas masks turning them into faceless insects. They're not here for him. The realization crystallizes as he watches them flow past his door, ignoring him entirely, heading toward the east wing. Toward Michelle's room. Martino triggers the emergency alarm. Red lights strobe through the mansion as he pulls on his vest and checks his weapon. His guards will be scrambling, but these intruders planned for that. They knew the blind spots, the timing, the exact moment to strike. They had inside information. He moves through the halls, following the tactical team's path. Bodies litter the corridor, his men, unconscious but breathing. Not killed. Neutralized. These aren't assassins. They're extraction specialists. Michelle's door hangs open, torn off its reinforced hinges. The room is empty. But there's blood on the windowsill, fresh, bright red, and when Martino looks out, he sees the chaos unfolding in his south garden. Michelle, in nothing but a t-shirt and bare feet, is fighting like a cornered animal. She's outnumbered 6-1, but she's not running. She's using his garden's architecture like she designed it, ducking behind stone pillars, using the fountain for cover, staying mobile. She's buying time. For what, Martino doesn't know. But he recognizes tactical thinking when he sees it. He takes position at the window and starts firing. The first shot drops a tactical operative reaching for Michelle. The second pins down 2 more behind the fountain. His own guards are flooding the garden now, turning the extraction into a firefight. One of the operatives grabs Michelle, and for a moment Martino thinks it's over. Then she does something with her hands, too fast to follow, and the man drops, screaming, his arm bent at an impossible angle. The remaining operatives retreat, dragging their wounded, vanishing over the south wall as police sirens wail in the distance. The whole operation took less than 6 minutes. Martino finds Michelle kneeling in the garden, blood running down her leg from a gash on her thigh. She's not crying. She's not shaking. She's calculating, eyes scanning the wall where they escaped, committing every detail to memory. Who were they? Martino demands, hauling her to her feet. The sector. Her voice is flat, dead. Private intelligence firm. Off-books operations. They do what governments can't admit to doing. And what do they want with you? She finally looks at him, and there's something ancient in those hollow eyes, something far older than her 26 years. I used to work for them. I was very good at my job. She limps toward the mansion, leaving bloody footprints on white stone. And then I tried to leave. Nobody leaves organizations like that. No, Michelle agrees, pausing at the door. They don't. They usually end up in red files. Or they end up dead. She touches the blood on her leg absently. I was supposed to be dead 10 years ago. They're just here to finish the job. Martino grabs her arm, forcing her to face him. Who sent them? Who's running the sector? Michelle's face goes blank, but he sees the recognition, the fear she's trying to hide. My stepfather. His name is Ray Castellano. He recruited me when I was 14. Trained me. Used me. Her voice drops to a whisper. And when I tried to run, he burned my house down with my mother inside and told the world I died too. She pulls free and walks inside, leaving Martino standing in the blood-soaked garden, understanding finally clicking into place. The girl who saved him is being hunted by ghosts she used to work for. And he just became her only shield against an enemy that doesn't officially exist. Martino finds the document 3 days after the attack, buried in a lockbox his uncle left him before he died. He's searching for contingency plans, old contacts who might know about the sector, when his fingers brush against something that shouldn't be there, a packet sealed with red wax, the kind used for official orders in the old days. The seal bears a symbol he doesn't recognize, a geometric pattern that looks almost like a circuit board merged with ancient sigils. The sector's mark. His hands shake as he breaks the seal. Inside is a single sheet of aged parchment, the edges browned with time. The handwriting is elegant, almost delicate, strange for a death warrant. Because that's exactly what it is. Target, Martino Milani. Termination date, January 15, 2016. Method, sniper. Public location. Make it visible. Authorization code, Shadow 7 signed, MB. Martino stares at the initials. MB. Michelle Brown. The paper slips from his fingers. 10 years ago, he survived an assassination attempt that killed 2 of his men and left him with a scar across his ribs. He never found out who ordered it. The shooter died before revealing anything, and the trail went cold. Now he knows. The ghost who saved his life was the same person who tried to end it. He finds Michelle in the library, curled in a leather chair with a medical journal, her bandaged leg propped on an ottoman. She looks almost peaceful, almost normal, until she sees his face. What's wrong? She asks, setting the journal aside. Martino doesn't answer. He just places the document on the table between them and watches the color drain from her face. Where did you find that? Her voice is barely a whisper. My uncle's safe. He was investigating the sector before he died. Martino sits across from her, the document between them like a chasm. Funny thing, I need you to sign some medical releases yesterday. For the doctor treating your leg. Michelle's hands clench in her lap. She knows where this is going. The signature you used, Martino continues, pulling out the medical form. He places it next to the assassination order. It matches. Same slant. Same pressure. Same little flourish on the B. He leans forward, his voice deadly quiet. You want to tell me why the woman who saved my life is the same person who ordered my death 10 years ago? For a long moment, Michelle just stares at the documents. Then she reaches out with a shaking hand and touches the wax seal, her fingers tracing the symbol like it's a brand burned into her skin. I was 16, she finally says. Ray told me it was a test. He said Martino Milani was a threat to national security, that the sector had authorization from the highest levels. Her voice cracks. He handed me the pen and told me to sign. Said if I didn't, he'd know I wasn't committed to the mission. So you signed? I signed. A single tear runs down her cheek. And then I spent the next 3 months trying to sabotage my own order. I leaked intel to your guards. I caused equipment failures. I did everything I could to make sure that hit failed. She looks up at him, her hollow eyes swimming. But I wasn't good enough. Your men still died. Martino's jaw tightens. Why didn't you tell me? Because I knew you'd kill me. And I'm not done fixing what I broke. She gestures to the document. That's why I took the bullet. That's why I came back. I've been trying to cancel the death I set in motion for 10 years. Martino stands, pacing to the window. Outside, his guards patrol the perimeter, watching for threats. Threats like the woman sitting behind him. The Michelle Brown who signed this, he says slowly, is she the same person who threw herself in front of a bullet for me? No. Michelle's voice is hollow. That girl died in the fire with my mother. The person I am now, I'm just trying to make sure her sins don't destroy anyone else. Martino turns back, studying her face, looking for the lie. But all he sees is exhaustion, guilt, and a desperate kind of honesty that can't be faked. Your signature is on my death warrant, he says. By every law of my world, that means you die. Michelle nods. She doesn't beg. Doesn't run. Just waits. But that same person bled on my snow. Martino picks up the document, holding the assassination order that should have ended him. So I'm going to ask you one question, and your life depends on the answer. Okay. Are you still working for the sector? No. Michelle meets his eyes. I'd rather die than go back to being their weapon. Martino studies her for another long moment. Then he walks to the fireplace and holds the document over the flames. Then the girl who signed this, he says, watching the paper catch fire, is already dead. And I don't kill ghosts twice. The document curls and blackens, the wax seal melting into nothing, and with it, the death warrant that bound them together burns away. But Martino knows the truth now. And truth, in his world, is more dangerous than any bullet. Michelle doesn't sleep that night. Martino finds her at dawn, standing in the garden where she fought off the sector's extraction team, staring at the bloodstains that his staff hasn't scrubbed away yet. You burned the order, she says without turning around. Why? Martino joins her, 2 coffee cups in hand. He offers her one, and she takes it with trembling fingers. Because I've killed enough people to know the difference between malice and manipulation. I still signed it. You were 16. Ray Castellano held a pen to your head just as surely as if it were a gun. He sips his coffee, watching the sunrise paint the garden gold. I've done worse things than you, Michelle. And I was older when I made those choices. She finally looks at him, and there's something raw in her expression, something breaking. I watched the news coverage after the hit. I saw your men being carried out in body bags. I saw your blood on the plaza steps. Her voice cracks. I was just a kid, and I helped kill people. Ray told me it was patriotism. That I was serving my country. But all I did was stop. Martino sets down his cup and grips her shoulders, forcing her to meet his eyes. You were a child soldier. The sector groomed you, trained you, weaponized you. The blood is on Ray's hands, not yours. Then why does it feel like I'm drowning in it? Because you have a conscience. That's how I know you're not them anymore. He releases her, stepping back. The sector doesn't send operatives who feel guilt. They send machines. You saved me because you still remember what it means to be human. Michelle wipes her eyes roughly. Ray won't stop. Now that he knows where I am, he'll keep coming. He'll burn your whole empire down to get to me. Let him try. You don't understand. The sector has resources you can't imagine. Government contracts. Black budgets. They can make you disappear and no one will ask questions. Martino's smile is cold. I've been making people disappear since before you were born. Let Ray bring his tactical teams and his Black Ops bullshit. I'll show him what real power looks like. This isn't a street war. This is my city. Martino's voice drops to something dangerous. Every cop, every judge, every politician, they're mine. Ray wants to play shadow games? I'll drag him into the light and burn him alive in front of everyone. Michelle stares at him, and for the first time since he found her in that rotting clinic, she almost smiles. You really think you can beat them? No. Martino picks up his coffee again. I think we can beat them. Because I'm betting the sector taught you things they regret teaching you now. Her smile fades. They taught me how to find people who don't want to be found. How to access systems that don't officially exist. How to kill without leaving evidence. She pauses. And they taught me where they keep their secrets. What kind of secrets? Michelle turns back to the blood-stained stone, her voice distant. The kind that end governments. The kind that start wars. The kind that make billionaires disappear and senators commit suicide. She looks at him over her shoulder. Ray used to brag about it. Said the sector had enough dirt to control the entire Western world. He called it the ledger. Martino goes very still. Where is it? That's what everyone wants to know. That's why they want me dead. Michelle taps her temple. Because the ledger isn't a book, Martino. It's not a hard drive you can steal or a server you can hack. Ray made sure it was safe from everyone. Then what is it? Me. Her voice is hollow. I have photographic memory. Ray figured out when I was 14 that I could memorize entire files, conversations, transaction records, everything. He trained me to be his living backup system. Every secret the sector ever kept, every file I ever touched, it's all locked in my head. The weight of her words settles between them like a stone. You're not a witness, Martino says slowly. You're the evidence. I'm the only copy of information that could destroy hundreds of powerful people. Some of them are criminals. Some are politicians. Some are worse. Michelle's hands shake around her coffee cup. That's why Ray burned my house down. I told him I wanted out, and he realized I knew too much. So he tried to erase me. But you survived. I survived. And I've been hiding ever since, trying to figure out how to use what I know without getting killed. But information is only power if you can weaponize it. She looks at him. I'm just one person with memories. Ray has armies. Martino's mind is already working, calculating angles. A living ledger. Blackmail material on people who run the world. And all of it locked in the brain of a woman who just happens to owe him her life. You're wrong about one thing, he says. What's that? You're not one person anymore. He turns to face her fully. You have me. You have my resources, my connections, my empire. Ray wants to erase you? He'll have to go through Chicago's entire underworld first. Michelle searches his face. Why are you doing this? I tried to kill you. No. A scared teenager signed a piece of paper 10 years ago. The woman standing here saved my life. He extends his hand. The debt goes both ways now. I owe you blood, and you owe me truth. So let's use what we both have and burn the sector to the ground. She stares at his offered hand for a long moment. Then, slowly, she takes it. Dual justice, she whispers. What? Something my mother used to say. When someone wrongs you and saves you, you give them dual justice, punishment for the crime, protection for the salvation. Michelle's grip tightens. You're giving me both. Then let's make sure Ray gets his justice too. They shake on it as the sun rises over the garden, two ghosts making a pact to haunt the living. But neither of them sees the camera lens watching from the wall, or the red light that signals the feed going live to the sector's headquarters, where Ray Castellano watches his stepdaughter's betrayal with cold, calculating eyes. The war has officially begun. Ray Castellano arrives in Chicago 3 days later with an army disguised as businessmen. Martino's intelligence network picks them up immediately, 40 operatives checking into hotels across the city, all using corporate cover identities, all moving with military precision. They're not hiding. They want to be seen. It's a message, the sector is here, and they're done playing subtle. He's escalating, Michelle says, studying the surveillance photos spread across Martino's desk. Her finger traces patterns in the operative placements. This isn't an extraction anymore. This is a siege. Let him come. Martino marks positions on a city map, red pins for sector operatives, blue for his own forces. My city, my rules. You don't understand. Ray doesn't fight fair. He'll go after everyone you care about, your family, your lieutenants, innocent people just to draw you out. Michelle's voice shakes. He taught me that. Collateral damage is just leverage. Martino looks up from the map. Then we remove his leverage first. Tell me everything the ledger contains. Michelle closes her eyes, and when she speaks, her voice shifts, becomes mechanical, reciting data like a computer. Transaction records linking Senator James Morrison to 3 offshore accounts totaling $47 million. Blackmail files on Judge Patricia Chin involving an affair with a minor. Video evidence of DA agent Marcus Webb accepting bribes from the Sinaloa cartel. Communications proving that. Stop. Martino holds up a hand, mind racing. How much of this can you prove? All of it. Dates, account numbers, server logs, I memorized everything Ray ever showed me. He used to test me, make me recite files to prove I could be his backup system. She opens her eyes. But proof doesn't matter if you're dead. That's why he wants me eliminated. As long as I'm alive, I'm a threat to everyone in the ledger. Or a weapon. Martino stands, pacing. You said yourself, information is only power if you can weaponize it. What if we force Ray into the open? Use the ledger against the sector itself? How? The moment I start talking publicly, I'm dead. They'll kill me before I finish the first sentence. Not if we make copies. Martino pulls out his phone. You're going to spend the next 48 hours recording everything you remember. Every name, every crime, every secret. We'll encrypt it, distribute it to lawyers, journalists, federal prosecutors, people Ray can't eliminate all at once. Michelle shakes her head. He'll still come for me. Of course he will. But by then, killing you won't matter. The information will be out there, protected by dead man's switches and legal teams. Martino's smile is razor sharp. You stop being the ledger and become the testimony. The witness instead of the evidence. That's, Michelle stops, understanding dawning. That's brilliant. If the information is already distributed, I'm worthless dead. Ray loses his leverage. Exactly. He either lets you live and deals with the consequences, or he kills you and proves everything we're saying is true. Martino sits beside her. Either way, you stop being his property. For the first time since he found her in that clinic, Michelle looks hopeful. When do we start? Now. Martino gestures to Victor, his tech chief, who's been waiting outside. Victor has secure recording equipment. You're going to talk, and we're going to make sure your words outlive both of us. Michelle stands, straightening her shoulders, and Martino sees the transformation, the scared girl becoming something harder, sharper. A weapon turning herself into a shield. There's one problem, she says at the door. Ray knows I have photographic memory. He'll assume I'm doing exactly this. He'll move faster, hit harder. Good. Martino's voice is cold steel. Let him come while we're ready. I'd rather fight a war on my terms than wait for him to choose the battlefield. Michelle nods and follows Victor out, leaving Martino alone with his maps and his red pins, counting the forces gathering against him. 40 operatives. Probably triple that in support staff. An organization with unlimited resources and no legal accountability. Against one mafia boss and a girl who remembers too much. The odds are terrible. Martino smiles. He's faced worse. The recordings take 2 days. 47 hours of Michelle reciting the ledger's secrets into encrypted drives, her voice flat and mechanical as she lists crimes spanning 3 decades. By the end, she looks hollowed out, like speaking the sins has carved pieces from her soul. But they have everything. Names, dates, evidence that could topple governments. Martino immediately distributes copies through his network, lawyers, journalists, federal prosecutors, even a few politicians he owns who owe him enough to stay loyal. Each package comes with instructions: if anything happens to Michelle Brown or Martino Milani, release everything. The dead man's switch is live. Ray's response comes at midnight. Not tactical teams or sniper bullets, but a phone call directly to Martino's private line. The voice is smooth, educated, nothing like the monster Michelle described. Martino Milani. I believe you have something of mine. Ray Castellano. Martino puts the call on speaker so Michelle can hear. She's sitting across from him, hands clenched white. I have a guest. Nothing that belongs to you. Michelle has been my daughter for 12 years. That makes her mine by every law that matters. Ray's voice hardens. And you've just committed an act of war by distributing classified intelligence. Classified? Martino laughs. You mean the evidence of your crimes? The blackmail you've been using to control people? That's not intelligence, Ray. That's a confession. Silence. Then, you have no idea what you've done. The ledger keeps order. It prevents chaos. Without it, governments fall, markets crash, wars begin. I'm not the villain here, I'm the dam holding back the flood. You're a parasite feeding on fear. Martino leans forward. And Michelle is done being your host. Is that what she told you? Ray's laugh is ugly. Did she tell you she enjoyed it? That she was good at finding leverage, exploiting weaknesses? Michelle wasn't my victim, Milani. She was my protégé. My masterpiece. Michelle flinches like she's been struck. That's a lie, Martino says quietly. Is it? Ask her about Senator Morrison's daughter. Ask her who found the girl, who documented the evidence, who held the camera. Ray's voice drips poison. Michelle was 14 when she blackmailed her first target. She cried afterward, but she still cashed the payment check. Stop. Michelle's voice breaks. The truth hurts, doesn't it, sweetheart? You want to play victim, but we both know what you are. A weapon. My weapon. And weapons don't get to choose their targets. Martino watches Michelle's face crumble, sees the guilt and shame Ray has spent years cultivating, and something cold and terrible crystallizes in his chest. Here's what's going to happen, Martino says, his voice dropping to something lethal. You're going to withdraw your operatives from my city. You're going to disappear back to whatever hole you crawled out of. And you're going to leave Michelle alone. Or what? You'll release the ledger? Go ahead. Prove everything we're saying is real. Give every intelligence agency in the world a reason to hunt both of you. Ray's confidence is absolute. You're not protecting her, Milani. You're painting a target on her back. No. Martino looks at Michelle, sees the tears streaming down her face, and makes his choice. I'm giving her dual justice. What? An old concept. When someone wrongs you and saves you, you balance both debts. Martino stands, walking to the window where his guards patrol below. Michelle signed my death warrant. For that crime, justice demands payment. But she also took a bullet for me. For that salvation, justice demands protection. You can't have both. Watch me. Martino's smile is razor sharp. I'm going to kill the contract she signed 10 years ago, the child soldier you created, the weapon you shaped. That girl is dead. Justice is served. He turns back to Michelle. But the woman sitting here, the one who chose to save me despite everything you did to her, she lives under my protection. Forever. Michelle stares at him, hope and disbelief warring in her expression. That's not how this works, Ray snarls. It is now. Because here's the thing about dual justice, Ray, it applies to you too. Martino's voice goes cold. You created a weapon and lost control of it. That's your crime. But you're also Michelle's stepfather, which means somewhere in your twisted psychology, you actually believe you're protecting her by keeping her as your asset. I am protecting her. From herself. From people like you. Then here's your salvation, I'm going to let you live. I'm not going to release the ledger immediately. I'm not going to put a bullet in your head tonight. Martino pauses. But if you ever come near Michelle again, if you send one operative, one threat, one phone call, I release everything and I hunt you down personally. Your choice, walk away and keep your empire, or push forward and lose everything. The line goes quiet. Michelle holds her breath. You're making a mistake, Ray finally says. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. Martino ends the call. For a long moment, silence fills the room. Then Michelle speaks, her voice small and broken. Do you really believe that? That the girl I was is different from who I am now? Martino crosses to her, kneeling so they're eye level. I believe people are defined by their choices when they're finally free to choose. You were enslaved, Michelle. A child groomed into a weapon. But the moment you had the power to choose, you chose to save the life you once endangered. That's not the same person. That's redemption. Ray will come back. Let him. Martino helps her stand. We have the ledger distributed. We have proof. And you have me. He squeezes her hand. Dual justice cuts both ways. I punished the crime by declaring that girl dead. Now I'm protecting the salvation by making sure you stay alive. Michelle searches his face, and slowly, something shifts. The hollow eyes gain depth. The broken expression softens. Thank you, she whispers. Don't thank me yet. Martino looks toward the window, toward the city that's about to explode into war. Ray might have backed down tonight, but men like him don't stay down. He'll regroup, find another angle, come at us differently. I know. Are you ready for that? Michelle thinks about the recordings, about speaking her trauma into existence, about choosing to stand and fight instead of running. She thinks about the debt she's carried for 10 years and the man who's offering to help her finally pay it. Yes, she says. I'm ready. Outside, Chicago sleeps, unaware that two ghosts have just declared war on shadows. The reckoning is coming. Ray doesn't wait long. The attack comes 72 hours later, at dawn, when the city is caught between night and day. This time it's not tactical teams or surgical strikes. It's everything. 40 operatives converging on Martino's estate from all sides, supported by drone surveillance, electronic warfare, and enough firepower to level a city block. The sector isn't here to extract Michelle anymore. They're here to erase everyone who knows about the ledger. Martino's alarms scream awake as the first explosions rock the outer walls. He's moving before he's fully conscious, grabbing weapons, triggering emergency protocols. His guards are already engaged, but they're outnumbered and outgunned. This isn't a firefight. It's an execution. He finds Michelle in the panic room, pulling on body armor with shaking hands. "Stay here," Martino orders, checking his weapons. "The walls are reinforced. You'll be safe until..." "No." Michelle's voice is steel. "Ray's not here for a siege. He's here to burn this place down with everyone in it. Staying is death. Then we evacuate. There's a tunnel that..." He knows about the tunnels. He knows about all your contingencies. Michelle meets his eyes. "He taught me to plan operations like this. The only way we survive is if we do something he doesn't expect." Gunfire erupts closer, rattling the mansion's windows. Martino can hear his men falling back, defensive positions collapsing. They have minutes, maybe less. "What are you suggesting?" Michelle pulls a flash drive from her pocket, one of the copies of the ledger. "We split up. You take this and get it to your federal contact. Make sure it goes live if we don't survive." "Absolutely not. We stay together or..." "Martino." She grips his arms, forcing him to focus. "Ray wants us both dead, but he needs me dead more. I'm the original source. The living proof. If I draw his forces away, you can escape with the evidence. That's suicide. That's strategy." Her smile is sad. "Ray trained me well. I know how he thinks, how his teams operate. I can lead them away long enough for you to get clear." "No." Martino's voice breaks. "I didn't save you just to lose you in a suicide mission. You didn't save me. You gave me a choice." Michelle touches his face, gentle. "For the first time in my life, I get to choose what my sacrifice means. Let me make it count." An explosion blows out the east wall. Smoke billows through hallways. "Time's up." "There has to be another way," Martino says desperately. "There isn't." Michelle hands him the flash drive. "Dual justice, remember? You killed the girl I was. Now let me save the man you are." She kisses him once, quick and fierce. "Make sure Ray pays for everything. Promise me." Martino's jaw clenches. Every instinct screams at him to refuse, to fight together, to die together if necessary. But he sees the determination in her eyes, understands that this is her redemption, her way of finally balancing the debt. "I promise," he whispers. Michelle nods and turns toward the sound of gunfire, pulling a weapon from the armory with practiced ease. "Give me 2 minutes. Then run." She moves into the smoke before he can respond, and Martino watches her disappear like the ghost she's always been. The firefight is chaos. Michelle moves through burning hallways, deliberately making noise, drawing attention. The sector operatives converge on her position immediately, and she leads them deeper into the estate, away from the escape routes, away from Martino. She takes down 3 before they corner her in the grand ballroom. Ray walks through the shattered doors, flanked by a dozen operatives, gas mask hanging loose around his neck. He looks older than Michelle remembers, gray creeping into his temples, but his eyes are the same, cold, calculating, devoid of mercy. "Hello, sweetheart," he says softly. "Time to come home." "I'd rather die." "That can be arranged." Ray signals his men to lower their weapons. "But let's talk first. Like family." "You're not my family. You murdered my mother. I saved you from mediocrity. Your mother was weak, Michelle. She would have made you weak. I made you extraordinary. Ray steps closer. Everything you are, everything you can do, that's my gift. You made me a monster. I made you powerful. There's a difference. Ray's smile is almost gentle. Come back. We'll forget about Milani, about the ledger. You can be my protégé again. My daughter. For a moment, Michelle almost laughs. After everything, the trauma, the running, the decade of hiding, Ray still thinks he can manipulate her with the promise of belonging. I found a better father, she says quietly. One who doesn't use love as a leash. Ray's expression goes cold. Then you chose death. He raises his hand, and Michelle closes her eyes, waiting for the gunshot. It never comes. Instead, there's a massive explosion from the north wing. Then another. The entire estate shudders as Martino's contingency charges blow, not to defend, but to destroy. Fire roars through hallways, cutting off escape routes, turning the mansion into a crematorium. What did you do? Ray screams, grabbing Michelle. She smiles, blood on her teeth. Dual justice. I chose to save him. And he chose to burn it all down so you can't have it. The ceiling collapses. Operatives scatter as fire rains down. In the chaos, Michelle breaks free and runs toward the only exit still clear, the south terrace, where Martino said he'd be waiting. She finds him there, surrounded by the last of his guards, holding off the final wave of sector operatives. He's bleeding from a dozen wounds, but his eyes light up when he sees her. You're alive, he breathes. You waited. Did you think I'd leave you? Martino grabs her hand. Come on. Cars are outside. They run together through fire and smoke, through the estate that's become a tomb for the sector's ambitions. Behind them, Ray's screams echo as the building collapses, burying secrets and sins in equal measure. They make it outside as the mansion's structural supports fail, the entire building folding in on itself in a roar of flame and ash. Martino's remaining men pile into armored vehicles, engines already running. Go! Martino shouts, and they peel away as emergency services arrive, sirens wailing. In the backseat, Michelle and Martino sit in shocked silence, covered in soot and blood, watching the estate burn in the rearview mirror. Did we win? Michelle finally asks. Martino pulls out the flash drive she gave him, the one containing everything. Ray's trapped in the fire. The ledger is distributed. You're free. He looks at her. I'd call that winning. What about your empire? Your home? Buildings can be replaced. Martino squeezes her hand. You can't. Michelle starts laughing, then crying, then both at once, the sound of someone finally releasing 10 years of tension, of debt, of running. It's over, she whispers. No. Martino pulls her close as they drive toward the rising sun. It's beginning. You're not a ghost anymore, Michelle. You're free. And in the ashes of the burning estate, buried beneath rubble and flame, an old assassination order with red wax seals finally turns to dust, the debt paid, the contract fulfilled, the past burned away so the future can begin. Dual justice, delivered in fire and blood, leaving only redemption in its wake. If this story gripped you the way Martino gripped his second chance, smash that like button. Subscribe for more tales where redemption comes at a price and justice cuts both ways. Drop a comment and tell me, did Michelle and Martino earn their freedom, or are some debts too deep to ever truly pay? Because in the shadows where ghosts become human again, the answer is never simple.